I don't know who needs to hear this today, but just because something is camp, that doesn't make it good. And just because a piece of media fits the technical definition of camp, that doesn't mean that it has to be bad. It is no secret that I think Ryan Murphy is an overrated hack. I've talked about it multiple times on this channel before. That doesn't mean he hasn't had his share of highs, but man, the lows are low. Regardless of his critical status as a showrunner, it's clear that there are a handful of A-list celebs who love working with him and probably view their experience on set during these shows as the equivalent of when Adam Sandler invites all of his best friends on vacation and makes a family-friendly comedy tax write-off. They're not making art, so there's no friction, but that doesn't mean that the audience should always have to suffer through whatever Ryan Murphy decides to shit out next. And so here we are at the biannual Ryan Murphy Slop Trough with All's Fair, a star-studded drama about an all-female group of divorce lawyers. The most intriguing thing about this show is the fact that once the embargo lifted, the reviews were absolutely abysmal, even for the typical standards of a modern-day Ryan Murphy project. Did this make me a bit more curious about it? Yes, but unfortunately, it's not even bad in a way that's interesting. Just for reference, as of recording this video, there are currently 3 episodes of All's Fair available on Hulu. I watched all of them. I believe the rest of the season is going to be released weekly. I have no interest in catching up on the rest of it. You might think it's unfair that I'm reviewing this show 3 episodes in. I disagree, and we'll talk about why. And I could give a spoiler warning because I am going to talk about a few key events that happen in the show, but at the same time, it doesn't really feel like a spoiler warning because nothing happens. Like, I could sit here and individually recap every single event that goes on in this show, which I've done for other reviews of television shows and movies before, but it wouldn't serve a purpose. Like, I could recap the entire series right now, and you would be like, that sounds like nothing's happening. Because nothing's happening. So, the dynamic here is that 2 lawyers played by Kim Kardashian and Naomi Watts leave their law firm to start their own law firm under the blessing of their boss, Glenn Close, who is like lawyer bitch supreme, I guess. They decide to take Niecy Nash with them, who is not really a lawyer, she's more of an investigator who finds all the dirt in the cases, and Sarah Paulson's character, who is a neurotic lawyer archetype, is like comedically over-the-top mad that they chose to take Niecy Nash with them and not her. Tiana Taylor is also like an assistant junior clerk, I think. The only real sources of conflict in these 3 episodes are Paulson's rivalry with this new law firm and the fact that Kim's character Allura is married to a pro football player who feels jealous and insecure about her success and ends up divorcing her. The rest of the show is sort of hard to grab onto. There's just a loose collection of scenes where these lawyers interact with their clients, often women who want to get something out of the shitty men they're married to when they divorce them. There's a scene where they interrogate one of these men and essentially blackmail him into signing a divorce agreement using recently obtained fetish material. And it's played as this whole girl boss moment. That's the only moment that sort of sticks out in my mind, but there's a bunch of little quick moving vignettes like this where we're introduced to a client and then the lawyers do something to fuck the man out of his money, and they make some little quips about their own respective girl bossery. The scenes that are not client related are just a novelty where all of these actresses playing lawyers talk to each other about nothing exciting in particular. At points it feels like they're speaking a different language, like you can't understand what they're even talking about or why you should care. You have Glenn Close acting with Sarah Paulson, and none of what they're saying feels particularly resonant or interesting. It feels like it's meant to be background noise. I guess that's my whole problem with this show. The crux of my issue here is that it's meant to be background noise. It is meant to be watched while you are scrolling on your phone. What happened here was Kim Kardashian couldn't crack it as a lawyer, so Ryan Murphy said, hey, I'm going to give you a show where we craft this world in which you are your own legal boss bitch, and they dive headfirst into that aesthetic, but there is nothing there beyond the aesthetic. It is just an idea. The show looks nice. I mean, you buy into the whole very wealthy, high-powered, bad bitch executive vibe for sure. There's a whole scene where Kim Kardashian's character moves through her apartment and it may as well be the real Kardashian clan McMansion. The needle drops are present and powerful throughout, often undercutting whatever emotional resonance could potentially take place in a scene. There's entire conversations that unravel on private jets with all the lawyers sipping champagne. The camp factor of this show doesn't lie within the context of any of the actual material, it's only present within the show's over-the-top aesthetic sense of luxury. It's fun to ogle at the pretty power suits and sleek bobs, but there's nothing here that's complex or even aspirational. It looks polished, but who cares? I think what pisses me off the most about this situation is that these networks have gotten into the habit of giving Ryan Murphy however much money he wants to make whatever he wants. He essentially gets a blank check every time. And the only reason that they allow him to do this is not because he made Glee, and they're giving him this forever pass because he made Glee, right? I think the Glee fanfare, has come and gone. Has it made a big impact on the zeitgeist? Yes, but he's not getting all of these free checks because he made Glee. He's getting all of these free checks because he's friends with a lot of these famous women and they like appearing in his shows, and these networks think it's a safe bet that at least a few million people will watch these shows that he makes because he tends to pull really big names and really famous people. A lot of those A-list celebrities are women, and so he's forced to write storylines about women. And he's not very good at it. But people give him a pass because it's supposed to be camp. The dialogue is campy. All of the women talk like half-assed iterations of Sue Sylvester. It's campy. It's camp. Why don't you understand camp? Murphy tends to do this thing with his female characters where he puts them in positions of power, which could be subversive and interesting if he wrote them well, but he doesn't. He lets the aesthetic overpower their capability. There's no variance in any of his characters because they all sound the same. As of writing this, I'm watching a scene between Tiana Taylor, who I just saw completely kill it in one battle after another, acting alongside Kim Kardashian, who as usual is stiff as a board, and both of their performances are lacking any kind of real dynamic. They're just saying words to say them. Now, there's no men to really be concerned with in this show. Most of the time, they just get exposed for having some sort of fetish, which is par for the course for a Ryan Murphy project at this point. And so you may think that with the bar that low, he must treat his woman characters a little bit better by default, right? Because he's not inherently sexualizing them, right? No, he fetishizes them too, in the same exact way, every time, and it's really fucking weird. By the end of episode 3, the major conflict that arises is that Kim Kardashian's character Allura wants to be a mom, but because she's getting divorced from her husband, she, I guess, no longer has proper access to the embryos that she froze, but she ends up going through the process anyway. I wasn't really clear on what the logic or reasoning was there, but of course we now have to go through a visual sequence of injections and doctors looking up her cooch, and maybe it's just because Kim was also in that one season of American Horror Story where pregnancy was a big plot line, but I am so tired of it. Your show is about lawyers. At the very least, it should borrow from elements of the court drama genre, but Ryan Murphy is not interested in legal proceedings or what lawyers actually do. The cases that these lawyers take on are resolved within several minutes of screen time, and all they do is steal embarrassing or incriminating information about the men and show it to the men's lawyers. This happens like 50 times. I'm sorry if I am coming off particularly heated in this one, you guys, but I just get really exhausted and frustrated with the Ryan Murphy perpetual cycle of critique, where everyone just gives him a pass because it's not supposed to be serious. What he's making is so unserious. The material knows what it is. His shows are fun and they're intentionally bad and they don't take themselves seriously. At what point, as an established creator in television and movies, do you get to just not be serious about anything that you make ever again? Who do you have to be to get that privilege? When was the last time, Ryan Murphy, that you actually made anything serious? If you can pull all of these actresses into a room, don't you owe it to them or yourself as a professional to give them serious work? Or at least work that is like thematically consistent and well written? Because when I say serious, I don't mean in terms of tone or subject matter. Shows can be absurd and funny and still warrant themselves as worthy of existence. But his shows aren't shows. They're slop. They're half-written. They're aesthetic premises with no substance. Nothing happens in them, and then they get turned into Tumblr GIFs or screen-recorded TikToks. And then people defend it because they think it's funny when Niecy Nash says stupid shit.
What? You know, I have been investigating Chase and all of his shenanigans. I found out something. You're not gonna like it. Pin your wig down a little, because this might blow it back.
I'm so unbelievably tired of this man because I can actively see resources that could have been given to less lazy, more talented writers being lit on fire every single time he decides to half-ass one of these new shows. If these big names weren't in them, nobody would care or give them a second look, and this shit gets graded on a curve because Glenn Close is in a blazer-looking cunty. It's ridiculous. Last thing I want to talk about here, is this actually a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes? Like, is it worth that score? That level of vitriol? You might disagree. I think we should be meaner, actually. I've seen a lot of pushback on these reviews, mostly because of the it's not supposed to be taken seriously argument, but also because it's very rare that any piece of media gets this low of a score on any platform, so people have naturally assumed that there must be some other mysterious force at play here, like the fact that this is an all-woman cast, or the fact that Kim Kardashian is the lead relative to all of the other very successful, in some cases Academy Award-winning actresses present here. And trust me, Kim doesn't do herself any favors. She wasn't great in American Horror Story, and she really has not improved in terms of her acting. It's very flat and lifeless, and she is kind of just very clearly in a different caliber than everyone else on screen with her in every scene. Like, don't get me wrong, it does not help. But I really don't think she can be given all the blame here. I think if Naomi Watts or Sarah Paulson were this lead character, the character would be written just as flat. Surely the delivery would be a bit better, but it really wouldn't change much. The core problem here is the script and the concept not being fully fleshed out, as is the case with a lot of Ryan Murphy projects as of late. I don't understand the tendency to give him a pass for certain things because I understand that at some point he probably made something that you liked, right? Glee, Pose, whatever, but it's not like he's made anything super effective, I think, or like particularly culturally relevant. I guess some people like those Netflix true crime reenactment shows that he does, but he's gotten plenty of flack for that over the years. I think flack that more so outweighs the support in a lot of circles. So I wish there wasn't so much hesitancy around calling this what it is. It's lazy, and I think it's strange that I really only see the invoking of the, well, people don't like it because it stars women argument when this was made by a man. And also, I don't know, there are plenty of other series out there that are written and directed by women that I feel like people could be advocating for and on behalf of instead. That's just me though, I don't know. This isn't a TV show, it's a movie, but you know what movie you should watch that was directed by a woman and stars a woman? If I had legs, I'd kick you. Do you know who has a supporting role in that film? Conan O'Brien, who I personally know. Don't believe me? Watch this shit.
Hi, Conan O'Brien here. I'm standing in terrible light where you can see just how old I really am. And I'm here in New York, and I just ran into Kayla.
Hi!
And Kayla has a YouTube
Channel.
Called Kayla Says. I've not really watched it, but I sense it's pretty good. I sense it's good.
Thank you for the endorsement, Conan O'Brien. I really do.
It wasn't really a ringing endorsement because I have not watched it yet, and I'm just giving that in case you have terrible views about society, but I don't think so. You seem like a cool person.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
But anyway, I wish you well, Kayla. You seem really nice, and I'm gonna check out Kayla Says. God, this light is awful.
Like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you want to get the full behind the scenes tea about how I got to hang out with Conan O'Brien, go to my Instagram, which is linked in the link tree down below. I tell the full story there. Spoiler alert, he is an absolutely fantastic human being, one of my favorite people, best celebrity that I've ever met in my life, just a once-in-a-lifetime human being and experience, so definitely go check that out if you are interested in the context behind that crazy-ass video. And one more thing while I have you. Tomorrow, you will be seeing another video from me, not on this channel, but it'll be listed as a collaboration between me and another channel called Stark Raving Sports. If you are unfamiliar, Stark Raving Sports is a sports content creation channel on YouTube. They host guest creators, and they reached out to me to make a video about hockey because if y'all don't know, I am a really big New York sports fan, NHL fan, and fan of the New York Rangers. The video is meant to be a collaboration between our two audiences, so it's for folks who maybe don't know as much about sports but are into pop culture and internet culture, and also a more sports-minded audience. So definitely check that out tomorrow. You'll see it on my community tab, and you'll probably see it listed as a collaboration because that's like a new feature on YouTube as well. Thank you so much, you guys. Let me know what your favorite and least favorite Ryan Murphy project is in the comments down below. Bye!